Good morning, children. Welcome back to our Google Classroom. Today, we will discuss the lesson The Comet 1. It is the ninth chapter from our supplementary textbook, It So Happened. It is written by the famous Indian astrophysicist Jayant Narlikar. Our 10th chapter, The Comet 2, is a continuation of this lesson. The main character of the story is Manoj Datta, who is popularly known as Dattada. He is an ambitious yet amateur astronomer. The Comet 1 is a story that revolves around the revelation of a comet whose discovery took place by Manoj Datta. Before starting the lesson, let me tell you about comet. What is a comet? Comets are cosmic snowballs of frozen gases, rock and dust that orbit the sun. When frozen, they are the size of a small town. When a comet's orbit brings it close to the sun, it heats up and spews dust and gases into a giant glowing head larger than most planets. Let's start the story now. The Comet 1. Manoj Datta lived on the outskirts of Kolkata. He had a secret ambition to discover a comet. When he retired, he bought an 8-inch telescope. He named it Dibyachakshu. It means divine eye. His wife Indrani Devi called it simply Dibya. Dattada loved to spend his time watching the night with his telescope. He spent many nights looking at the stars through Dibya. The story opens with such a night. One moonless night in December, the cool breeze blew through the window. It disrupted Dattada's wife Indrani Devi's sleep. She woke up and found out that her husband had left the door open. He didn't wear a sweater in the cold weather. This is because he was too busy with his telescope. He went to watch the night sky with his telescope. Indrani Devi always cursed the telescope. To Indrani Devi, the telescope was like a cunning woman who took hold of her husband. Dattada had a need of money to buy a telescope and spare time to observe the stars. Now, at retirement, he had both. Dattada had the ambition to discover a new comet. He was optimistic about discovering a new comet because other professional astronomers were focusing more on galaxies. Then, that night, he was able to discover a new comet. Furthermore, there was no mistake in his calculations. 2 days later, the local newspaper Ananda Bazar Patrika published Dattada's discovery of a new comet. He had informed the Indian Institute of Astrophysics IIA Bangalore about the comet and its whereabouts. Later, IIA confirmed this discovery and the comet was named after Dattada as Comet Datta. This brought an unwelcome attention to Dattada. As an introvert, he didn't like attending functions. Moreover, his wife Indrani Devi believed in superstitions. She had always thought that comets bring in bad luck and she had desperately wished that this discovery should have never happened. To this, Dattada told her that comets were just celestial objects and they had nothing to do with the issues on Earth. Meanwhile, in King's College at Cambridge, Dr. James Fawcett, who was an astronomer, received a letter that was sent by Sir John Macpherson. In the letter, John told James that he would like to meet him that night and discuss a confidential matter. Do you know what was the reason for that? Dr. James Fawcett learnt about Comet Datta. He made his calculations. He found that in 10 months' time, Comet Datta was going to collide with the Earth. He wrote a paper and sent it to the scientific magazine Nature. He wanted to have his paper published immediately. Taylor, The editor of Nature was a friend of Sir John Macpherson, who was a defense science advisor to the British government. Taylor showed the paper to Sir John for his opinion. Sir John understood that the paper would create a widespread panic. To avoid that, he stopped the publication of that paper. According to the prediction of Dr. James Fawcett, the collision is going to take place in exactly 10 months. This leaves living things with 10 months only to survive. Sir John's suggestion was that there should be a meeting of experts and that the matter must remain a secret to avoid panic. That's why he sent a letter to Dr. James Fawcett. Sir John began to make preparations for an international conference. This is the end of the Comet 1. We learned that a comet is a heavenly body. It stays in the skies or in the heavens. As long as it doesn't collide with the earth, everything is perfectly fine. But if there are chances of collision, it can create a havoc on the planet. From the Comet 1, we learned that or we understood that the comet Datta is going to collide on the earth within 10 months. What will happen then? That we can discuss in the next class. That's all for today. A YouTube URL is attached. Watch the video. A test paper is also included. Submit your answers as soon as possible. We can meet in the next class with the continuation of this topic. Thank you.